This is ATRT squad reporting in. No sign of separatist activity.
Affirmative, sir.
Hi, you're watching the Road Cloak Trooper channel, and this time we're making the gauntlets, so please stay tuned. And don't forget, keep watching right to the very end for a special message.
Okay, so we're moving on to the next part of our build. We're over halfway there, and December's coming quickly because I need this for the middle of December. And we're now moving on to the forearms. I've been holding off doing these because I was waiting on getting the comm pad which goes on the right arm, and I was very lucky to meet a very nice guy called Charles Solster, I hope I pronounced your name right, from Germany, who makes these wonderful comm pads out of resin. And it's slightly flexible, it's really nice. Okay, very well made. He casts these himself. If you want to find him, he's on Facebook on the World Clone Troopers page, and he made these wonderful things. Now unfortunately he had shipped it out over a month and a half ago, and it's taken that long to get here, which is very unusual because it normally only takes about 2 weeks for stuff to arrive from Europe to here in Japan. But I think this had got lost a little bit in the post because he did send it priority post. Thank you so much, sir, for doing so. But unfortunately, the world is a strange place, and it did take a lot longer to get here, so that's why I've been holding off from doing this video. But let's get there, okay? As you can see, my forearms do fit pretty well together. They're not too bad, but there is a lot of work needed to be done on my forearms, okay? So we have a lot of flesh we need to cut down a little bit, and then we're going to have to sand out the inside really well because you're going to be sticking your hand in and out of here, and you don't want fiberglass cutting you. So I'm going to have to really sand that down, and then I am going to have to measure this for my arms so I'm able to actually slide my arms in and out, but it's not too loose and not too tight, and then make sure that I can match everything up, glue it, bond it, sand it, paint it. But before also then painting it, we've got to then affix this into the right position, and then carry on painting it and get it done and weathered. Okay, so let's start that today. We're not going to finish it all in one build because I have to let this set into place because we're doing some bonding on it. But first of all, let's get about sanding it out, dribbling out the parts I need, and getting it ready for gluing.
Right, so here we are. We have all our bits out and are ready to start sanding. My poor balcony is looking a bit worse for wear because we've had 2 typhoons hit us in the last few weeks. It's very unusual this time of year. Anyway, that's the plan. Right, as always, before we start, make sure you have your mask and safety goggles on because you don't want this stuff getting into your lungs. Right, okay. Time to start drilling. Okay, so I have finished sanding down and trimming back some of the arm piece. Now they're more kind of the same, but I reach with the same problem I have always reached with this kit, and that is that because it is a cheap kit that I got on eBay, the guy who is making this just copied one side, okay, which means I've got the right side of everything. Okay, I've had this problem all the way from the beginning, and these are no different. As you can see, these are 2 of the same side, okay, which means I have to try now and make it into a left and a right, okay, and this is part of the problems why people say don't buy fiberglass. okay, because these guys are fly by night. There you go. Now I'm lucky the top parts are pretty uniform, so I'm just kind of trying and stick them together and generically make them that they're both the same, that there's no left or right. That's the best I can do, and then once I have worked it out, then I'll have to trim the edges to make sure that they're even. So that's what I'm going to do now, and I'll come back to you once that's done. Okay, so yeah, I've trimmed all these down and I've given the inside a coat of white paint. I just sprayed it in. It means then that it's a bit more smooth. Okay, after I sanded it, and it's not going to catch in anything. So that's most important, that I'm not going to catch anything inside when I'm sliding my hands in and out, because I don't want to damage my undersuit or scratch my hands. So as you've seen earlier on, I had marked off where I'm going to join these up, and I've put R on the right sides, and I've left it on blank because I don't really need to know which side that is, because I know this is the right side. So basically I had joined these up with tape, scored off on the inside where I had joined them, and then I've taken off at least about ½ an inch off the top all the way around, okay, because I feel that when I tried it on, it was going to be way too long for my arms, okay, my forearms. Now I might need to sand this down a little bit more once I have glued it all up, but I'm hoping to make a good join on it, and I may have to recut the wrist part once it's done, but I'm hoping to keep it as much as I can. It's quite flat. Once it's glued, we'll fill it in, and we can start getting ahead of it. So it's looking pretty good. Okay, can you picture now? So this is going to go about somewhere about here on it, I think. Yeah, that's going to fit it nicely now. The whole sizing is starting to match up now with the comm pad, so that's getting there nicely. Okay, and with all these comm pads, you have to fill up on the sides. And now this is, luckily, this is actually quite flexible, so I might be able to get away with it without having to fill it up too much. But we'll see how it goes once I have put the bond on it as well. But let's stop talking and let's get to sticking this together. Okay, so let's go. I've bought a new pack of Big Bond, that's what this is called, and oh, we've got a new scraper on this one. This is a new one. Aha, it's a nice one. And you do get a nozzle if you want to use a nozzle on it as well. I don't want to use a nozzle. Pop that, and we're going to give this a liberal coat. I do like this when it's fresh because it's quite easy to work with. Clean seams, because I'm going to be filling and bonding this, so I'm not too worried that way. Okay, but I do want to have a nice tight fit on it. As you can see, that looks joined up really nicely now. Yeah, that has joined up extremely good. I'm extremely happy about that. Okay, yeah. So we're just going to leave that there now and let it set for a bit, and then we'll come back and we'll stick this one on later. This will be done afterwards. And again, that's going to need to be completely clamped down and glued. Okay, so yeah, we'll come back to this now.
Okay, quick update. I've just taken the clamps off and I have to make a little confession with you guys. Okay, so when you last see me, I was gluing and clamping one of these together, and I glued and clamped the other one as well. And after a few hours I thought, well, they're a little bit dry, I'll try them on, and I suddenly came to the realization that they were too big. Okay, what I mean by that is that this part was fine for my wrist, but this size was way too big for my forearm and would have been floating around. I would have had to pad it out completely, and I would have had dreadful problems with it catching with my elbow armour. So what I had to do then was, with my box cutter, basically slice the glue, because I hadn't set fully yet, down and free both of them, and then I had to resize them and then re-glue them. Okay, which means now that the original trimming cuts I'd made in the top now don't match up, so I have to retrim them again. So that's what I've done now, is basically I've resized them, re-glued them, and as you can see I've got lots of excess glue which I have to sand off before I start filling. And I have remarked where I need to trim, so I have to find another day to trim them again. Little trimming on that side, a lot of trimming on that side. That tells you how much I had to squeeze them in at the top to make them fit. And the other thing is that I had this marked as the right arm, but I might actually change it over to the left one. The reason being is because this one got squeezed in quite a lot more for some reason, to make it the same size as the other one. As you can see, there's a little bit excess there, and there's another little excess part there to make it more uniform. But what I found was then that this side was flatter, and I need that for the comm pad when I put it on. If I have it on a flat surface when I put it on, it's going to stick a lot better. So
okay guys, so I have spent a lot of time re-cutting these to a decent shape. I just thought they were way too pointy. Literally I've cut off that much. That's how pointy they were. Okay, so I've cut off quite a lot to make this a little bit more gauntlet shaped. Okay, because I thought this were way too more pointy than they should have been, and they would have interfered with the elbow armour. So that's what I've done now. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to start filling it in. My battery's going to go on my camera, so I'll bring you back once I have filled it in. You've seen me do it before, nothing special. I'm just going to put Bondo body putty on this to smooth them out. Okay, I'll bring you back once I've got that done. So we're back. So before I go any further, so that's at the beginning of the video I talked about the comm piece that I had purchased, and what we're going to do now is I've been looking around for something to use as an aerial to go in the side, because the comm pads, communication pads of the clone troopers always had an aerial, and I was very lucky that we've had some typhoons recently, and a lot of people had broken umbrellas which they've thrown in the trash cans, and I found that one of them had this kind of like piece that looks a bit like an aerial, okay, sticking out of it. It's not metal, it's some type of plastic composite, and then a metal piece at the top. So what I'm going to do is I cut it to the right length so it fits in just nicely there. I'm just going to super glue that in now. Okay, so what I'm going to do, got my super glue. I'm just going to run some super glue down here. Not too much. There you go. I'm hoping now this will be able to hold this in place for us. Trying to get it so there's a hole in the piece of stick. I don't want that to be seen. So let's see now, I'm hoping you can sit it in and it doesn't be seen. There we go now. So let's leave that to set for a little while. Push it gently there. Okay, so there we go. So we're going to put that aside now and let that dry and show you my my gauntlets. Right, as you can see, these are a very different shape to when you last seen them. Basically, yeah, I've had to reshape these because they were way too long and they were just too pointy at the ends, and I'd accessed pictures from the internet of clone gauntlets and none of them seem to be as pointy as mine, so I have cut and reshaved these right down, and then I have filled and sanded them. Okay, so that's all done. It's not the most perfect job, but it will do me for what I want, because I want to have some battle damage in these because the sergeant has been working. Originally I was going to have this one as my right, I got it marked there, R, I don't know if you can see that, but I've decided actually this is going to be my left one, so that is wrong, so I have to change that, and this is going to be my right one. Okay, so I've decided to change them over. What I need to do now is I'm going to glue this onto here. Okay, that is going to go somewhere about there. Okay, and I'm probably going to have to fill this in a little bit. I'm going to have to build up the sides, I think. But basically it's going to go about there on it. Okay, and that would be my comm pad. There we go. Why put it there? Should be okay, I think. Yeah. Let me have a look at this. Yeah. If I use the line here as the bit for that to go on, I should have a nice piece there. Okay, yeah. Now what I'm going to use to glue this on is I found this. It's a product made here in Japan, and it's supposed to be a bit like barge. Okay, you put glue on both parts, leave it about 5 to 15 minutes, and then stick them together. Okay, so apply adhesive to the surface of both bonded, allow it to dry for about 15 minutes. Bond adhesive surfaces together and apply force. Clean the mouth of the tube and replace the cap. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to apply the bond to the back of this and onto this, and then we're going to leave it for about 10-15 minutes, and then we're going to stick it on. Okay, so before we do that, what we need to do, just realised
get a pen. Okay, and so we're gonna have that about there, and I'm gonna use a marker now to just mark in where this is going to go. The reason why I'm doing this is because I've got to fill the glue in to that space as well as onto the back of the piece I'm going to use. So, not there, there we go. Let's get this out. Let's see how this works. Okay, well, start squeezing it out. Now it's supposed to dry clear. Okay, that's the back of that one. That aside. Now, so what we're going to do now is we're going to wait the amount of time they say, and then we're going to try to put these together and see how they go. Okay, so I'll bring you back in about 5-10 minutes. Okay, so we have been leaving this for about, I think, over 12-15 minutes. Okay, it's starting to change colour a little bit, so we're going to put these together now and see if this works. How quick this bonds, so I'm being right on the money with this, and wow, it seems to be sticking pretty well, I think. Right, so I'm going to leave that for another 10-20 minutes, and we'll see how it goes. Okay. Good morning, everyone. This is a few days later now. Basically, I have let these dry. I'm going to start giving them a few coats of paint now, but they've turned out pretty well. Got the comm pad on. I did have a bit of a problem with the glue that I used, and I tried using a filler to fill up, and it turned out quite crap, to be honest with you. As I said in these videos at the very beginning, I'm going to show you all my mistakes. See how it goes. So I'm still going to try and fill this up again. It's not too bad. What I'm using is, this is a, it says it's a tile repair putty, but it's actually like a liquid plastic that comes out, and it kind of turns into a type of plastic, which is quite good. But I put too much on, and as I said, what happened was the glue started coming away on the actual hand piece, and I was fighting with both of them because I had to put the stuff on, the glue was coming off, and I had to reclamp it all. But I've got a bit of a mess here now, which I'm going to cut off. So I'm just going to get a standing knife, and I'll be able to trim this down, and then I'm going to give it a quick rub down, a bit of sandpaper, and then I'm going to start painting her up. Okay, let's see how that turns out. So we're going to give this other piece of armour now, or this other arm, some coats of paint. I've been heating up my paint in some warm water because it's pretty cold now here in Japan, so I want to give this a good chance of spraying on nicely. Always a good tip when it gets cold. And it's a good shake now. Now, in the summertime it's no problems here, but yeah, winter time, a bit hard. I'm just going to give it a few light coats. Okay, we're back. These should be dry now. Now, I just want to say I tried something that somebody told me about using cling film or vinyl wrap, cellophane wrap, whatever you want to call it in the States or whatever. Here they call it Salon wrap, to wrap the parts you want to cover instead of using tape. Now I've tried it and it stuck down pretty well. So let's see what happens when we remove this. Now, this is the first time I've done this, so I don't know how it's going to work. I don't know how it reacted with the paint, but that is a pretty good line. Yeah, there's a bit of spill on it, as expected. Yeah, I thought my paint was still a bit wet. But let's have a see. Yeah, there you go. It's pretty cool. It's pretty good. It's one arm. Let's see how this one goes out now. Okay. Doing pretty well. Nice. Alright, get a bit of spill up here. That's fine by me. Okay. So that's my forearm. I'll paint it up. Comm pad on it, not moving anywhere. It's pretty good. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to weather these and see how they turn out once they're all weathered up. But I think that comm pad looks pretty cool there now. Very happy with that. Okay, so as I said, all we need to do now is to weather these and they'll be finished. Okay, but otherwise I think they're looking pretty good. Right, okay, so we're going to put some weathering on these now. What we're going to use is some acrylic paints, acrylic black there, and I've actually got some white just in case, and a silver pen. That comes in really handy. I'll show you that in a minute. And we want to get our brushes. Now we're not doing a heavy weathering on this, that will be done later. So basically what I want to do is just do some battle damage and to make it look like it's been used, and that Sergeant is ready for duty. So I'm just going to get a black paint out. There you go, a couple of it there. Now, so on the comm pad there's a little window here, and I've noticed that this is often painted black, so I'm going to try and get some black paint in there, not put it everywhere. Might be a bit difficult, but we're going to try. Do the best I can. So we got that bit, and I want it to look like these buttons have been used a lot. So we're going to do a little bit of dry brushing just in the centre. Right, so there you have it. That's our gauntlets all made up, and they have a little bit of battle damage put on them to make them look a bit more authentic. They're all ready to go. Thanks for watching. I hope you like this video. If you have any comments or questions, please leave them in the comments box below and I'll try to get back to you. Or go over to my Facebook page and you can leave a comment message there and I'll get back to you quicker. I want to say thank you to Christopher. Sorry Christopher, I called you Charles at the beginning of the video. Thank you Christopher for making us these comm pads. Absolutely amazing. It has turned out wonderful. It really has. Thanks so much. So yeah, again thank you to all my subscribers who have been subscribing, for everyone who's been following me, everyone who's actually watched my videos. Thank you so much. It's people like you that keep these videos coming. Stay tuned for the next part. I hope to be making the chest armour and abdomen armour next, so please watch for those. Until then, as always, may the force be with you.
Ah, yes, there you are. I've been looking for you. So, you like Star Wars? Why don't you join the Imperial Outlanders? Come to the dark side and be my apprentice. Yes, let all your hate flow and your love for the dark side and Star Wars. Join the Imperial Outlanders.